in Vrindavan, virtual. I know some people that are in Vrindavan, and I just hope the is a bit risky. Did you all see any photographs of Bahulashtami, the appearance day of Radha Kund? I'll send you, and you can send to others. No masks. So who knows what happened at that one? Eighth day after meeting. So this is the first demon killed by Krishna, Putana demon. And we're going to hear pastime and some interesting about pastime. This is one of there's many different paintings. Huh? There's we need help because on my computer the slide is moving on the screen. It's happened once before in Blizzard. Oh, okay. Oh, pastime of Krishna killing Putana. So the artwork can't tell so well, except it's very old style. And in this one painting, it has the whole past. In the upper left, there's Krishna being born in the prison house of Kamsa. And the far upper left, he's showing his forearmed Vasudeva Krishna form. And then Nanda is carrying Krishna with Nandashesh over his hoods, side of Soda, etc. Bottom is the rib, bottom left. And then in the bottom right, there's Putana, horns on her. Here's Prabhupada writes. This is a Canto and chapter 6. Bhagavatam says, the end of this narration. Any person who hears with faith and devotion how Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, killed Putana, and who thus invests his hearing in such childhood pastime Krishna, certainly attains attachment for Govinda, Supreme Personal Person. I don't know, first, and comment is not only in the Srimad Bhagavatam, but in many different other texts. Story of Putana is told. There's some variations. The narration, story of Putana, and it's quite okay. One of the explanations is this different days of Brahma. There's a verse in Padma Purana about Ramayana. And in Ramayana it says in Putana about Ramayana, it says 1,000 different versions. And one should understand, those who are wise understand different versions. The 1,000 Ramayanas have to do with the day of Ramayan. The theme is the same, the details slightly diverse. So the story begins. Nanda Maharaj, on the very same day that Putana appears, Nanda Maharaj goes to pay his taxes. The right side, that's Mathura, big city, and Kamsa is coming, Nanda is going to Kamsa's place to pay his taxes. You see him inside the palace paying his taxes. And on the left side, you see Putana coming to Krishna, and then left, there's Putana lying on the ground upside down, and Krishna's crawling on her chest, hoping he's all worried. And the upper part of the painting, upper center part of the painting, they're taking the whisk part tail of a cow, waving it back and forth. There's some more about short. They knew how to deal with things like this. Putana Rakshasi came to Braja, converting herself by mystic power to a beautiful young woman. Now, the hideous picture at the top, that's what she would normally look like. And the beautiful young girl is what she looked like by her mystic power. There's one narration of the Putana story that says this mystic power to change shapes was given to her by Durvasa Muni. It also says when she entered the village, she stated that she was the wife of a Mathura Brahmana. In other places, it doesn't say that she said who she was at all. She just came in so outstandingly beautiful. They were asking, who is this? Is this a Gandharva, or is this wife of one of the demigods? Maybe this is Lakshmi herself. She was decorated out and very, very, very exquisitely beautiful. Putana was the younger sister of Bakasura and the older sister of Agasura. They were quite a team. So Bakasura is the older, then Putana, and the younger Agasura. And they benefited. Bakasura and Agasura benefited just by being brothers of Putana. Because of her exquisite beauty, no one checked her movement. That's the Bhagavatam version. And therefore she freely entered the house of Nanda Maharaj. Now the arrangements of houses is in Vedic times. The ladies would be in the inner portion, inner chamber, the house. Men were not allowed. But she went right through everybody. No one checked her, hey, let's see your visa and passport. They just let her in because she's some celestial person. When she came before Krishna, she could at once perceive that this child was not ordinary, but he was meant to kill all demons. Now, since she's a demon, she can put two and two together. She's meant to kill him. He's meant to kill her. She also appreciated that he could destroy the whole universe immediately. So here's a little boy that has exceptional power. I mean, even as a demon, she could understand that. Putana could at once perceive that the baby was hiding his unparalleled potencies. Still, she went ahead, which is a little bit astonishing. She was very proud of her own powers. Humans are like that, right? Bhagavatam says, Putana Rakshasi's heart was fierce and cruel, but she looked like a very affectionate mother. Thus Putana resembled a sharp sword in a soft sheath. And baby Krishna appeared like powerful fire covered with ashes. That, of course, to give a picture of the meeting of these two. Lord Sri Krishna, the all-pervading super soul, lying on the bed, understood that Putana, a witch who was expert in killing small children, had come to kill him. Therefore, as if afraid of her, Krishna closed his eyes. When something like this happens, it just invites the poets to come forward, offer explanations. They do. See some of. Thus Putana took upon her lap him who was to be her own annihilation, just as an unintelligent person places a sleeping snake on his lap, thinking the snake to be a rope. There's a scene in Ramayana, referring to Ramayana because I've spent so much time with it of late, twice when Ravana approaches Sita at Panchavati, then again when Ravana approaches Sita underneath that, the Shok grove, underneath the Sinsupa tree, she takes a blade of grass and places the blade of grass between herself and Ravana. And it just invites the acharyas to explain the significance. During our yatra in South India, visiting Panchavati, one devotee narrated the 19 different reasons given by the Sri Vaishnava acharyas how to understand the meaning of the blade of grass. So in this case, it's Krishna's closing his eyes. And so there's several different explanations offered by different acharyas. Some say that Krishna closed his eyes because he did not want to see the face of Putana, who had killed so many children and who had now come to kill him. Others say that something extraordinary was being dictated to her, and in order to give her assurance, Krishna closed his eyes so that she would not be frightened. Yet others say, or they interpret, Krishna appeared to kill the demons and to give protection to the devotees, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. You know the verse. The first demon to be killed was a woman. According to Vedic rules, the killing of a woman, a brahmana, cows, or a child is forbidden. Krishna was obliged to kill the demon Putana, and because the killing of a woman is forbidden according to Vedic Shastra, he could not help but close his eyes. Another interpretation is that Krishna closed his eyes because he simply took Putana to be his nurse. And there's others. This is the verse from Scripture that says, Saptata Matarak Smrita, 7 mothers. Atma Mata, one's own mother. The wife of the Guru, Guru Patni. Wife of a Brahmani. The wife of the king, Rajapatnika. Cow, the nurse, and the earth. Makes 7. There are 7 kinds of mothers according to Vedic conjunction. Real mother, the wife of a teacher or spiritual master, the wife of a king, the wife of a Brahmana, cow, nurse, and Mother Earth. Because Putana came to kill Krishna, take Krishna on her lap, and offer her breast milk to be sucked by him, she was accepted by Krishna as one of his mothers. That is considered to be another reason he closed his eyes. Why? He had to kill a nurse, her mother. But his killing of his mother or nurse was no different from his love for his real mother, foster mother Yashoda. Further understand from Vedic information that Putana was also treated as a mother and given the same facility as Yashoda. The topics of Krishna are delight of those who are attracted to Krishna, discussing the topics of Krishna and looking at the topic from different angles. And the different angles is not speculation. It's there's taste in pastimes, and they're churning the topic to increase the taste of pastime. One explanation goes like this, that Krishna is like a Durya money. Durya money is a gem that, depending upon how you look at it, it looks different or having different colors. Just like when Krishna entered the wrestling arena, there's a list of some 7, 9, whatever it is, persons who saw Krishna enter, and saw starts with the wrestlers themselves. Saw him as a thunderbolt. Kamsa saw him as death personified. The young girls, they saw him as darling Cupid. The elders saw him as their darling son. The impersonalists saw him as the impersonal Brahman. Light walking across the reefs. Yogis saw him as super soul. So he's one entity, but perceived differently by different persons, is the idea. And he is perceived according to their regard for him. And so different acharyas have a particular relationship and a particular liking. And what they're describing when they say, this was it, or that was it. It's not that if this one's right, then that one's got to be wrong. And if that one's wrong, that one's right, then this one's got to be wrong. They're all right. Realization. On that very spot, in the presence of Yashoda and Rohini, the fiercely dangerous Rakshasi pushed her breastly nipple to his mouth. I mean, she went in with their acknowledgement. She did her dirty business. In their physical presence, they watched her do it. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, became very angry at her, took hold of her breast, squeezed it very hard, both hands, and sucked out both the poison and her life. I meant to look up, when Prabhupada spoke about this verse consistently, he said how many months old Krishna was. If my memory served me right, I was going to look it up. He was just a few number of days old, 3 days old, 6 days old, something like that. How tiny is a baby at that age? Tiny. Little hands. Oh, little fingers. But he, with both hands, he squeezed and drew the poison and her life here. Unbearably pressed. And every vital point, the demon Putana began to cry, please leave me. Please leave me. Suck my breast no longer. She's not able to hold her beautiful form. She's under life-threatening duress. So she assumes this Rakshasi form again. Perspiring, eyes wide open, and her arms and legs flailing. She cried very loudly, again and again. Like the Kaliya serpent pastime, there's so many paintings of that one. There's many paintings also celebrated. Putana screamed loudly as Krishna caught hold of her breast and squeezed it with both hands and sucked out both the poison and blood. In this way, the demon Putana, fleeing from the palace into the courtyard, very much aggrieved because her breast was being attacked by Krishna, lost life. Oh, King Parikshit, opening her mouth wide and spreading her arms, legs, and hair, she fell down in the pasturing ground in her original form as a Rakshasi, as Trasura had fallen when killed by the thunderbolt of Indra. We'll hear some more about what she looked like. As Putana screamed loudly and forcefully, the earth with its mountains and outer space with its planets trembled. The lower planets in all directions vibrated and people fell down, fearing that thunderbolts were falling upon them. She had a big body and was really loud. 12 miles long. Oh, King Parikshit, when the gigantic body of Putana fell to the ground, it smashed all the trees within a limit of 12 miles. About something that's 12 miles away. Big body. Really big. Really big. Appearing in a gigantic body. She was certainly one of the BBT paintings, of course, hanging on her chest. Old painting, like BBT painting. So the gopis see Krishna on her chest. They're afraid for Krishna's sake. The Rakshasi's mouth was full of teeth, each resembling the front of a plow. Her nostrils were deep, like mountain caves, and her breast resembled big slabs of stone fallen from a hill. Her scattered hair was the color of copper. Sockets of her eyes appeared like deep, blind wells. This looked like a painting from which BBT made copies. A lot of their paintings are like that. Take something old and they make it nice. See, she's knocking over a tree. She's lying on there. Her fearful thighs resembled banks of a river. Her arms, legs, and feet seemed like big bridges. And her abdomen appeared like a dried up lake. The hearts, ears, and heads of cowherd men and women were already shocked by the Rakshasi screaming. And when they saw the fierce wonder of her body, they were even more frightened. Of course, not Krishna, he's just playing. Without fear, the child Krishna was playing on the upper portion of Putana Rakshasi's breast. And when the gopis saw the child's wonderful activities, they immediately came forward with great jubilation and picked him up. You see at the bottom, they picked up Krishna, Rakshasi Putana, stretched. He doesn't look big enough. When the cowherd men and gopis saw that the gigantic demoness had instead become killed by the tiny child, Krishna exclaimed, "Oh, our child is rescued. It is as if he has attained another birth. Ja, unseen by us, an moksha. Because of this exclamation by the cowherd men, Lord Krishna is known as Adhoksha Ja. He who, unseen by the cowherd, was born again. Taken from Krishna's son Dharma, which is quoting Hari. So it's a celebrated pastime, lots of paintings, styles, different periods of time. So, make up the face of Rakshasi. There's Krishna, and the gopis are picking him up, and on the far right side, it's none. Therefore, thereafter, Mother Yashoda and Rohini, along with the other elderly gopis, waved about the switch of a cow. Switch is that little tassel at the end of the cow's tail. To give full protection to the child Sri Krishna. I don't know how many people would know how to do that. Brijvasis, they knew lots of things. The child was thoroughly washed with cow urine and then smeared with the dust raised from the movements of the cows. Then different names of the Lord were applied with cow dung on 12 parts of his body. With cow dung. Beginning with the forehead, as done in applying tilak. In this way, the child was given protection, save him from future auspicious actions. You can see in this color painting, there's the switch of our tail moving back and forth, Krishna. You can see Mother Yashoda has him raised up on her feet, and some other gopis are giving a snan, a bath. So bathing him in cow urine. And then they know all the rituals. I mean, they're not educated Brahmins' wives. They're simple village people. They know the mantras. Shukadev Goswami informed Maharshi Parikshit that the gopis, following the proper system, washing hands and feet and sipping water 3 times, purification, protected Krishna, their child, this mantra. There's details. May Aja protect your legs. May Mani Man protect your knees. Yagya, thighs. Achyuta, the upper part of your waist. And Hayagriva, your abdomen. May Keshava protect your heart. Isha, your chest. The sun god protect. Vishnu, your arms. Urukrama, your face. And Ishvara, your head. May Chakri protect you from the front. May Sri Hari, the Dadhar, the carrier of the club, protect you from the back. May the carrier of the bow, who is known as the enemy of Madhu, and Lord Ajana, the carrier of the sword, protect your 2 sides. May Lord Urugaya, the carrier of the conch shell, protect you from all corners. May Upendra protect you from above. May Garuda protect you on the ground. And may Lord Haladar, the Supreme Person, protect you on all sides. May Rishikesh protect your senses. Narayana, your life air. May the Master of Shvetadvi protect the core of your heart. And may Lord Yogeshwara protect mine. May Lord Krishnagarbha protect your intelligence, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead your soul. While you are playing, may Govinda protect you, and while you are sleeping, may Madhava protect you. May Lord Vaikuntha protect you. while you're walking. And may Lord Narayana, the husband of the goddess of fortune, protect you while you're sitting. Similarly, may your Lord Yagyabhuk, the fearful enemy of the evil planets, always protect you while you enjoy life. So they knew the mantras. He employed the mantras for his protection, because that's what they're interested in. All the gopis, headed by Mother Yashoda, were bound by maternal affection. After they chanted mantras to protect the child, Mother Yashoda gave the child the nipple of her breast to suck, and then got him to lie down on it. The commentary says there were first came as protection, and then in case he was like stressed out, she did what mothers do when kids are little babies are stressed out. She wanted to hold him and feed him so that he could feel like everything is normal. Children have a way of forgetting something, right? Just being distracted by something else. So over her shoulder, that's Balaram. And there's Krishna. Meanwhile, Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men returned from Mathura. Remember, they went there to pay taxes. Very beginning. And when they saw on the way the gigantic body of Putana lying dead, they were struck with wonder. There's her body in the bottom of the painting, and on the upper left, that's Nanda coming back. Nanda Maharaj and the other Gopas exclaimed, "My dear friends, you must know that Anakundundubi Vasudev has become a great saint or master of mystic power. Otherwise, how could he have foreseen this calamity and predicted it?" Chapter 5 is Vasudev has gone to pay his taxes. When he's gone toward the end of chapter 5, Vasudev comes to know his dear friend Nanda has come to pay his taxes. And he was very careful not to go and meet him openly, because, Kamsa is a wicked person. So he went at night with a kind of a guard, kind of an assistant person, and met Nanda in a private place. And among other things, because Vasudev knew what Nanda didn't know. Nanda didn't know that his son was the 8th child of David. And he didn't tell him. But he said, your son can be in great danger. You should get back quickly. So with that advice, he went back quickly, and look what he saw. A little detail, Anakundundubi is one of the names of Vasudeva, and the explanation behind the name is when Vasudeva took birth, there was a chorus of demigods singing, playing musical instruments, which is what the Anakundundubi means, and they were proclaiming is a perfect just at the time of his birth. So the name stuck. So he must be a mystic or something, because he was right. Get back, because there's going to be a problem. Okay, here's an Orisan style painting. That's our Putana over on the right side. And she has Krishna on her lap, right in the central part of the garments. Here she is coming on the left side with Yashoda and he right there, taking up the child. And this painting, she's kind of stretched out, horns on her head, And, and then far left is Mother Yasoda pacifying Krishna, doing her mantra. The inhabitants of Braja cut the gigantic body of Putana to pieces with the help of axes. Then they threw the pieces far away, covering them with wood, and burned them to ashes. With a 12-mile-long body, the Prabhu were at quite a while. And why do they want to burn the body? Because the body still remains, but besides it will smell, rotting bodies, it invites the ghost to think it was difficult. You see in the bottom left, that's the head of Putana, fire, and of course other limb, fire. The upper right is Nanda coming back and seeing, and in the middle is chopped up body of Putana. Because of Krishna's having sucked the breast of the Rakshasi Putana, when Krishna killed her, she was immediately freed from all material contamination. Her sinful reactions automatically vanished, and therefore, when her gigantic body was being burnt, the smoke emanating from her body was fragrant like a guru incense. There's the fire in the far left. There's a body at the bottom being chopped. There's Nanda coming back in his chariot from Mathura saying, hey, what's this? In the upper right, we've seen that same scene. It's the tail of the cow and switch, moving back and forth. Mother Yasoda, hey, Krishna. Purification. Body had become sanctified by touch of Krishna. Because Krishna embraced Putana's body with great pleasure and sucked her breast, although she was a great witch, she attained the position of a mother, the transcendental world, and thus having achieved the highest perfection. What then can be said of cows whose nipples Krishna sucked with great pleasure, and who offered their milk very jubilantly, with affection, exactly like that of a mother? Nice point. Is Krishna like drinking milk? Taps directly from the udder of the cows. When Lord Krishna had killed her, a great chariot came to take her to Goloka Vrindavan. It had 100 wheels and was totally jewel encrusted. It had 10,000 chamaras and 10,000 mirrors. Pretty spectacular. Special escort to the spiritual world. In the background, there's none and others seeing Krishna. Years ago, one of the earliest publications of Krishna Katamrita. You know, might have done in his publication. Disciple of Lord. Lived in Bhubaneswar, now he lives in Puri. And he's a scholarly type. And years, gathering rare articles and writings, and some from Prabhupada and some from very esoteric sources. And of course, from Govinda Maharaj. So very early, he published Krishna Tamrita. This is the cover picture. It has 3 parts. The very bottom shows an owl and 4. Lower portion of this painting shows Putana entering the house of Nanda Maharaj form of owl or ukrik, function. And in the middle, that's Putana killed and being taken up by the Hades. Then up, you see some mountains, right? Up, that's the Vindhya Mountains where Putana found for being. What's that all about? Well, it's Lita Madhava. Lita Madhava has a very little difficult to follow narration of how Radharani appeared in this world. It's one of multiple explanations. And it goes like this. Putana had kidnapped Radharani and Chandravali from the Vindhya Hills. There you see Putana, and you see Chandravali. She's been dropped in a river. Chandravali later became Rukmini, and there's Radharani. There's 5 other girls here. This is now just cut and paste from the Lita Madhava. There's a narrator section. Mount Vindhya grew taller and taller till he challenged his relative, Mount Meru. Agastya visited Mount Vindhya. The mountain bowed down to offer respects. Agastya asked Mount Vindhya to remain in that position till he returned. Agastya never returned. And Vindhya could not raise his hand. In this way, Mount Vindhya's pride was humbled. So Vindhya was in competition with Meru. It's about the rivalry. This is a discussion between Purnamasi and Gargi. Everyone knows who Purnamasi is? Anyone not know who is Purnamasi? You don't. In Krishna's Leela in Vrindavan, she is Yogamaya personified. Purnamasi is the mother of Sandipani Muni. Sandipani Muni became his teacher, Krishna's teacher. She left the place of residence where Sandipani Muni was teaching just before Krishna appeared, and she came with her grandson's Madhamangal. Madhamangal is the son of Sandipani Muni, grandson of Purnamasi. He was close to the age of Krishna, a little bit old. And the other person is being spoken to is Gargi. Gargi is one of the 2 daughters of Nandimukhi is one. Gargi is another. Daughters of it takes time to get relationships sorted out. But in this case, it's just back and forth between Gargi, who is like her granddaughter, Purnamasi's daughter of Sandipani Muni. And Gargi is asking questions of Purnamasi. Purnamasi is answering. Purnamasi says, "It is Brahma's word. Oh, Mount Vindhya, to fulfill your desire, you'll have 2 daughters that will give you a son-in-law who will defeat Lord Shiva and whose virtue will fill the world with wonder." In this competition, a rivalry between Vindhya and Mount Meru, in the Parvat Mountains near where Mount Meru is, Lord Shiva's wife, Parvati, took birth. So Vindhya was in competition. So he had this desire. The desire, he underwent austerities to get a benediction from Brahma. The benediction is, I want a son-in-law who can defeat son-in-law of Mount Parvat. I want to have a son-in-law who will defeat Lord Shiva. So his son-in-law means he has a daughter. Why did Mount Vindhya desire a daughter, not a son? He had become the rival of King Himalaya, who is the father of Gauri, and very proud of the opulence of the son-in-law. So this narration depicts Vindhya as being envious of Mount Meru, envious of Himalayas, and he's in competition with the other mountains, but he's always the Vindhya hills are always smaller, lesser. Gargi, he could not tolerate the glory of his own family. In ancient times, he tried to defeat Mount Meru. He could not rise again after he vowed to offer respects to Agastya. Purnamasi, yes. The intelligent are like that. Gargi, how did Radha come from Mount Vindhya to Gokula? So that there are two daughters of Vindhya Hills. The two daughters of Vindhya Hills were Radha and Chandravali. Radha and Chandravali, God of Vindhya Hills. This is how did that happen? Vindhya Hills asked a benediction from a Brahma, yes. I have a daughter whose husband will defeat Lord Shiva. Witches. How did Radha go from Mount Vindhya to Gokula? She was taken by Putana. Taken by Putana? Oh, witches that steal children generally eat their victims. That girl is very fortunate to be saved. Purnamasi, daughter, it's like granddaughter. Kamsa ordered her to kill any extraordinary small boys and kidnap any small girls. Why did the king ask her to do those two things? Kill the boys, kidnap the girls. Answer. He was pushed by the words of Devaki's demigod's daughter. Devaki's demigod's daughter. That's Yogamaya when he tried to kill Maya. My flat hand came Durga. Words of Devaki's demigod's daughter. What were those words? Different than in the Bhagavad. Durga said to Kamsa, this same person who in your previous birth severed your head with a chakra raised in battle, the same person who the sages know as he whose two lotus feet are worshipped by the demigods, the same person who pleases his loving devotees by showering them oceans of the nectar of bliss, the same person who is the root from which the universe is sprouted, has now appeared in this world at the time of the moon's rising. She said, today, day after, 8 sublimely sweet sakis. Radha's 8 ashtasakis. Radha's 8 ashtasakis. Today, this is Durga saying to Kamsa, today, or the day after, ate sublimely sweet sake here on this earth. Two sisters, God, who are like great palaces of beautiful transcendental qualities, will also appear when he defeats Shiva, because Radha has her 8 and Chandrava has her 8. Two others will also, two sisters, also. When he defeats Shiva, Lord Krishna, King of Kings, will accept the hand of both in marriage. Then comes this esoteric part that 16,108 gopis, like a queen's back gopis, came queen. And Purnamasi says, although there are two forms, one. Gargi, what happened to the second sister? That's Chandravali. When Vindhya's chief priest, so Putana came and stole 2 girls. When Putana's chief priest chanted a demon-killing mantra, so Vindhya said, priest, do something. So he chanted a demon-killing mantra. Putana's heart became struck with fear as she was hastily flying over Vidarbha province. Where's Vidarbha province? It's where Rukmini was born. Vidarbhi, or Bhishmaka's daughter. The first of her victims dropped from her hand and fell in a river's current. And the king found her and accepted her as a daughter. Gargi, my father, Sandipani Muni, is omniscient. Why then has he said, as a result of a benediction granted by Durvasa Muni, Srimati Radharani appeared from King Vrishabhanu's chest? Purnamasi, requested by Brahma, it's complicated. Requested by Brahma, Lord Hari's Yogamaya potency removed these 2 infant girls from the wombs of the wives of Chandrabhanu and Vrishabhanu and placed them in the wombs of Vindhya's wife. They were actually the daughters of Vrishabhanu and Chandrabhanu. Vrishabhanu is Radharani's father, and Chandrabhanu is Chandravali's father. So they're taken from the wombs of those, the wives of those 2, by Lord Hari's Yogamaya potency, and placed into the womb of Vindhya's wife. Gargi, astonished. Did the 2 fathers know what happened? Purnamasi, certainly they understood. Gargi, is it true that when the witch was killed, you took Radha from her lap because she had dropped one of the 2 girls, Chandravali, she dropped her in a river, and Putana was still carrying a second girl, Radha? Purnamasi, I took not only Radha, but 5 other girls also. That makes 6. Oh, excuse me, 5 of the Ashtasakis. Swiftly and secretly I gave these 5 infant girls to 5 gopis in different parts of Vrindavan. In a secret place I happily gave the virtuous Radha to Yashoda's nurse, Mukara, and said, O elderly one, here is your son-in-law, Vrishabhanu's daughter. It's complicated. And the rest of Lalita Madhava doesn't get less complicated. But it's a description of a different description, going back to that painting in the very top is the Vindhya Hills. So it's Rupa Goswami's description of Radharani's appearance. First, not yet born directly from the womb of Vrishabhanu's wife, but born from the Vindhya Hills wife, and then kidnapped by Putana, and then taken by Purnamasi from the lap of Putana and given to the nurse of Yashoda to give to her son-in-law, Vrishabhanu. So Radha was raised as the daughter of Vrishabhanu. But she had a different origin, at least immediately, as far as this complicated narration of Lalita Madhava. That was like a little detour. If you couldn't follow everything, no problem. There are different versions of Radha's appearance in a very sweet and intricate explanation. And a big part of this whole Lalita Madhava is explaining how each of the 16,108 gopis end up becoming Krishna's queens. And it's a little different than we find in Srimad Bhagavatam. There isn't, Krishna comes and kidnaps Rukmini. It doesn't happen like that. And Satyabhama is given by Satyajit after the Shamataka jewel incident. It doesn't happen like that. But what happens, it starts in Braja, and they, in feelings of separation from Krishna, they transition from Braja to becoming queens of Krishna. It's a very amazing, very intricate description. Lalita Madhava. Go back to the Bhagavatam. Here in Vrindavan is Nanda Bhavan, and there's a murti of Putana with Krishna crawling on the chest of Putana, as you see. And there's a mural showing the same pastime at Nanda Bhavan. Now comes the explanation given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur of Putana represents. The first encounter in Sadhaka is encountering persons who are false teachers, giving false teaching, and being protected by Krishna from false teachers giving false teaching. She represents the pseudo-guru. Putana represents the pseudo-guru. The pseudo-guru may appear in one or both of two forms. One, this is Bhaktivinoda, a deceitful, so-called guru who preaches sense gratification or liberation, or both. In some cases, this may be a person who is engaged in some Krishna conscious activity but has not realized the course of pure devotional service and tries to give instructions to his disciples beyond his own understanding or without regard for their situations. Second, the inwardly manifest spiritual guide in the form of the mundane empiric reasoning faculty or the material mind is also like Putana. Bhaktivinoda. What's the protection from Putana? In order to show mercy to his devotees, Krishna sucks the life out of Putana's breast. By doing so, Krishna demonstrates his power of protection of the budding attraction for Krishna, which has origin within young devotees' hearts, while simultaneously demonstrating his own innocent ecstasy. There's different sources of the two primary sources where Bhaktivinoda writes about this. Here's the two sources are Chaitanya Shikshamrita and Krishna Samhita. So we're going to go back. Bhaktivinoda describes that there are two types of false gurus. Antaranga, internal, or Bahiranga, external. The external guru, false guru, is the pretentious hypocrite who presents himself as guru even though he is not qualified. The internal false guru is the mind of the living entity, which takes shelter of material logic and reason to understand the absolute truth. And that's the demon painting at the bottom. But the external guru is he from whom the science of worship is learned, one who knows the proper path of attachment and who instructs his disciples according to their qualification is a Sadguru or eternal guru. However, when argument poses as nourishment for the living entity's constitutional duties, this may be compared with Putana's falsely posing as a nurse. Some people, I know some people, they thrive on controversy. And there isn't one, and they find one, or they make up one, or they go to the next one, the next one, the next. One who does not know the path of attachment, yet instructs others in this path, or who knows that path and instructs his disciples without considering their qualification, is a bogus guru and must be given up. That's a summary of what Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in these two texts. Bhaktisiddhanta, following his father, also spoke or wrote in the Harmonist. The Putanas of this world have power only over the atheists. They perform such a thankless but salutary task for the so-called benefit of their unwilling victims. Strong language. But as soon as the theistic disposition proper makes its appearance in the pure consciousness of the awakened soul, the Putanas are decisively silenced at the very earliest stage in their encounter with the newborn Krishna. Krishna protects devotees from such persons. Of course, the one wants to have Krishna connection, then Krishna will protect. Summary. The pseudo-guru may appear in one or both of two forms. This is very similar, the inward and the outward. A deceitful so-called guru is one who preaches sense gratification or liberation, or both. In some cases, we read this. Yeah. Scientific discoveries and those who interpret data, striving to convince intelligent, rational people that betting on the existence of God is not a reasonable gamble. Or the people that say, another way of saying the same thing, better to be an honest agnostic than a pretentious believer. Because, be honest, you really don't know. Be honest. So say, I don't know. And then, I'll live ethically, but I really don't know whether there's God or not. An example of a Putana-like disciple is Ekalavya. This is Bhaktisiddhanta. And I provided to Balaram a little essay, a short, maybe two, 3 pages, where Bhaktisiddhanta explains the Ekalavya story in more readable language than I'm used to. Both the spiritual master as well as the disciple must be a living representative of the disciplic succession. The story of Ekalavya illustrates this. Ekalavya was the son of Hiranya Dhanus, the king of the Nishadas. He approached Drona to learn the science of archery, but was refused because it was low birth and similar low character with respect to pride. That's Ekalavya's ardent aspiration was to become a greater archer than Arjuna. He later built a deity of Drona and thus learned the science of archery. However, Drona did not approve of this process and asked for his thumb as dakshina. Ekalavya submitted and cut off his thumb. He then found he did not have the same skill as before, because you need your thumb for archery. Ekalavya was later killed by Lord Krishna during battle with Jarasandha. That's in the footnotes of this, gives the Mahabharata reference, where in a battle with Jarasandha, Ekalavya was one of the parties killed by Krishna. And we're almost done. Little cartoon. The Hitopadesh, the cat that's pretending to be a guru, and those who are normally the prey for the cat or lion or whatever it is, start to worship him. Oh, you're a very elevated person, and the real purpose is to cheat them, take advantage of them. And this is a ISKCON cartoon. This is, what's his name? Who came to the World Conference of Religions or something, saying you're God. Who was that? The impersonalist, the celebrated impersonalist. Ramakrishna. Vivekananda. There we go. Vivekananda. He had to leave because he had a toothache. He came to Chicago to attend a World Conference of Religion or something like that, and astonished everybody, saying, "Why are you worshiping God? Because you're God." And he had to leave the conference because he had a toothache. And Prabhupada, what point? God has a toothache. You have a toothache? What kind of God are you? Okay, so I'm going to go quickly. This is real knowledge comes in disciplic succession, as we all know. There's the Bhagavad Gita verse, which we know. That's how knowledge comes. Here's the 4 disciplic successions. This is a nice image with the names of the principal acharyas connected to them. Nimbarkacharya, I've never seen a nice drawing of them before. Vishnu Swami, similarly. And in order to learn the science of God, one must approach a bona fide spiritual master. This is Prabhupada's teaching. Nice illustration of the Panchatattva, and then, the followers, the 6 Goswamis in the front of them, and then the multitudes of followers of those great souls. And that's the disciplic succession method. Souls being saved by disciplic succession and not by pseudo-gurus. A little final. This is Bali Maharaj being approached, Vamana being approached by Bali, and there's Shukracharya saying, don't do it, but he does it anyways. In her previous life, Putana was the daughter of Bali Maharaj, named Ratnamala. When she saw Lord Vamana's handsome form, she at once felt for him the love of a mother, feeling the love of a mother feels for her son. She thought, if I had a son like him, I would cradle him to my chest and give him my breast milk. That's Ratnamala over there on the right side. That's Shukracharya over there on the left side. Bali Maharaj getting off his big seat. And Lord Vamana coming to approach them all. Feeling obliged to her father, as her father is Bali Maharaj, this pure devotee, and understanding her heart, Vamana addressed Ratnamala, promising her that whatever desire she was cherishing at that moment would be fulfilled. But when she saw Lord Vamanadev take everything away from her father, she became angry and thought to herself, if I offered my breast to him, I would smear it with poison to kill him. Her attempt to accomplish that desire would also be fulfilled. And last slide is this one. According to Brahma Vaivarta Purana, in her last life, Putana was Ratnamala, the younger sister of Bali Maharaj. Garga Samhita says she was his daughter. Okay. 10 minutes. The Putana story is charming. Krishna protects one. The lesson that Bhaktivinoda Thakur draws from this is Krishna will, in the early stages of bhakti life, one may come across false teachings, false teachers. Generally, it happens for all of us. And Krishna knows that for the practitioner, and Krishna will protect. So everything is dependent upon wanting that Krishna connection, but Krishna's protection is there. The teaching of Bhaktivinoda and Bhaktisiddhanta is there's a potency in these pastimes that also has that effect of giving protection. Just hearing the pastimes, the little children that read Krishna book and learn the past. There's a potency in the pastime. When I was visiting in Virginia one time, there was a young girl in the house, and I asked, "What's your favorite pastime?" She said, "Putana." I was really surprised. So I said, "Okay, we'll do a little seminar on Putana." It was like a several-day seminar, and far more detail than this. It's an important. All of Krishna's pastimes are important, but the very first demon that he encounters when he's so young, showing his omnipotence, showing his omniscience, and giving her the position of nurse in the spiritual world. Uddhava points to this pastime as proof there's no better master than Krishna, no possible master. Who can be a better master? Someone comes to kill you, and you give them a place in the spiritual world. Just because of a little service. In some cases, it's just because she dressed nicely. With the idea, dressing nicely with the idea of killing. To please. Anyway. Different versions and different points of this. It's late, so I'm going to end, see if there's some comments or discussion. I really have to speak right into the microphone with this system, huh? This is unidirectional mic. Okay. Okay. I have to bear that in mind. Any thoughts? Yeah. Oh, they see Krishna as their son, just like the word he's Narayana, but the worshipable deity of Nanda Maharaj is Narayana. They don't see Krishna as Narayana; they're worshiping the Supreme Lord, and they see Krishna as their son. So there's no difference between Keshava and Krishna, but they don't see like they want Keshava to protect their son.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, if they unmuted, we can hear all that. Okay, okay. Anybody online that would like to ask a question, send a chat box question or unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept the pranams. This is Surendra. Um, Thank you so much, Maharaj, for giving a lot more details and background around Putana. Maharaj, I have one question. When Putana came to Krishna and Krishna took her life, and she got liberated by Krishna. Though Putana's whole intention is to do harm to full of envious towards Krishna, but still Krishna liberated her. So what as a devotees we should take from this episode when we meet Putana like a characters in our real life, how should be our dealings with them?
Stay away from them. Madhyama Adhikaris are advised to avoid the association of demons. Now, you didn't ask the usual question, like, why did Krishna give her liberation? Your question is specific. How do we deal with people like that? We avoid their unwholesome association. Now, if you're Krishna, but you're not Krishna, you can liberate that person. But Madhyamas are advised to keep a distance. Anyone else online? Anything? Okay, we're done. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.